go. Anywhere you look, you can find me on the low with my nose in a book. Turning through the pages, reading through the script. About to hit a million words, yeah, it's lit. Said it's lit. Yeah, it's lit.
Hey everybody, this is the third episode of the It's Lit podcast, and I'm Chyanne, a member of the Shamrock News and Avid.
Hello, I'm Mr. Dix. I am the Shamrock News teacher. I am also a literacy workshop teacher at Rowe Middle School.
My name is LilyAnne. I am a Shamrock News member as well and a member of the NFL Football League.
I am impressed. My name is Silas Johnson, and I am a member of the Shamrock News and a Pokemon enthusiast.
Wow, that sounds lame.
And I'm Evan. I'm the podcast producer and master editor of the Shamrock News.
Yes, so welcome everybody for tuning in. Today we are going to be doing our third episode, as Chyanne stated, and we are doing a 10 out of 10 would recommend. And the other day, LilyAnne and I sat down and we were thinking of topics for our 10 out of 10 would recommend, and we came up with from novel. LilyAnne wants to say it. Go ahead.
From novel to Netflix.
Yes, and what does that mean, LilyAnne? Go ahead and explain it.
That means books that were made into movies/TV shows that are now on Netflix.
Yeah, and we're really excited about this. So we are going to talk about some books today, graphic novels, comic books that, as LilyAnne said, have inevitably been turned into a TV show or a movie on Netflix, or is a movie that you can currently find on the wonderful streaming station that is Netflix.
Check out all these wonderful
Yeah, hopefully they'll pay us in the future.
Can we have a sponsorship, please?
Not sponsored by Netflix.
We're not
Sponsored by
Sad.
Probably get in
Zero
trouble if
Sugar.
we said that.
Same amazing taste.
We're gonna go around and we're gonna start off and start talking about the books that we recommend that you read before or after. Before we watch the movies or the television shows.
Preferably before, but if you read it after, a little shame, but not too much.
Well, I mean, if you read the book before, it might ruin the movie experience. We want to appreciate the movie or the book.
But it'll also ruin the movie or the book experience. I just said the exact same thing as you did. Well, because then you're spoiling the book.
But you could spoil the movie, too.
Yeah, it would spoil the movie.
But the book includes more details usually.
How do you know? Sometimes some movies are better than the books.
That has never happened to me.
Never happened to me as well.
There is a case out there. I'm sure there is.
Here we go.
I'm Chyanne, and the novel that I'm talking about today is To All the Boys I've Loved Before. I'm going to do the synopsis thingy. What if all the crushes you ever had found out how you felt about them all at once? 16-year-old Laura Jean Song keeps her love letters in a hat box her mother gave her. They aren't love letters that anyone else wrote for her. These are ones she's written. One for every boy she's ever loved, 5 in all. When she writes, she pours out her heart and soul and says all the things she would never say in real life, because her letters are for her eyes only until the day her secret letters are mailed, and suddenly Laura Jean's love life goes from imaginary to out of control.
Spicy.
All right.
Yum.
So, Chyanne,
Yeah.
what did you like about the book? Without spoilers.
Without spoilers, just overall the book. And just the
Probably
book in
need to be a
general.
little bit more specific.
A little more specific.
Deep breath, Chyanne.
We're good.
I don't know, just...
So what did you like about Laura Jean?
What did I like about Laura Jean? I guess just how she went with, her, whole life got out of control, as the synopsis said, and then just, she, kind of put it back together, sort of.
And did you like the way that she put it back together, or?
I mean, it was a mess, but I would never do it. But
Okay.
I mean, if you want to fake date someone, go for it. I mean.
Okay, and so can you explain that part of it, because that's not giving too much away. So what does Laura Jean decide to do at one point in the book?
Well, because her letters are sent out, she decides to fake date a guy. remember his name.
Oh, no.
But
What's his name?
I don't know.
Blake.
One second.
It's just a random name.
Well, no way.
Give me a minute.
And so she decides to fake date him. And why is she fake dating him?
To get back at her sister's ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, that's what it seems.
I know his last name is Kavinsky. Peter
Peter.
Kavinsky.
Peter
Peter.
Kaminsky. Okay, so she
Peter.
fake dates Peter, and then the book is essentially about what?
About her set letters getting sent out, and then she just like freaks out because they're like, she said she put her heart and soul into it and like said things that she would never say in real life, and then they all like got sent out. And of course, when she wrote the letters, like those people have usually changed. So yeah.
Okay, and then what kind of reader or what kind of person would you recommend this book to?
Anyone who likes romance novels or like in that general spectrum.
Okay. And comparing from novel to Netflix, what did you enjoy more? Did you enjoy the novel more or the Netflix movie?
I enjoyed the novel more, but I feel like that's kind of a thing that I do is I guess have this movie play out in my head while reading the book. And so yeah, so I read the book, and of course I watched the movie before because I didn't know it was a book. And none of the teachers had it as a book until you brought it, and I read it. It was pretty cool.
So have any of you either read the book or seen the Netflix? Did you read or watch the show?
I watched the movie.
You watched the movie?
Laura Jean is the cutest person in the world. Unpopular opinion, I love her.
Okay. And then did you enjoy was the movie something that you enjoyed and like would watch again, or was it just something that you...
It's something that I watch religiously.
Oh.
Still, I actually watched it Sunday night. I watched it again Sunday night with my mom and my dad. Every Sunday I rewatch a movie.
All right. So
Wow.
I actually did not know how I was going to feel about the book. I saw that it was a Netflix show, and then I just bought it because middle schoolers tend to like whatever's on Netflix, and I figured, well, here's another book for my classroom. And I love the book. I thought the book was way better than the movie. There's some moments that Peter and Laura Jean have in the book that they don't have in the movie. Particularly like some trips that they go on, and like to the estate sale when they go and do that.
Yeah.
And I think that stuff was really important for me because that made me start to like believe in
Yeah,
them.
and connect them more, because in the movie it was like a connection, but like there wasn't as many trips, and there wasn't more of like they're like having a private time.
Yeah, and like we talked on the Fault in Our Stars podcast, there wasn't as much adventure in
Yeah.
the movie, and in the book there was way more adventure, and I really appreciate it.
You should watch that or listen to that podcast, by the way.
You should listen to that podcast.
Self-promo.
And
Use code James for 5% off.
10% off.
Sorry.
Fake fan.
I'm sorry.
Fake fan.
I'm sorry.
so your 10 out of 10 would recommend is what book?
To all the boys I've loved before.
I'm going to talk about the book The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind by William Kamkwamba and Bryan Mealer. This is actually a Netflix movie that has just been made. I haven't even watched it yet, but I love, 100% love this book. So, the synopsis for the book. William Kamkwamba was born in Malawi, a country where magic ruled and modern science was mystery. It was also a land withered by drought and hunger. But William had read about windmills, and he dreamed of building one that would bring to his small village a set of luxuries that only 2% of Malawians could enjoy: electricity and running water. His neighbors called him Misala, crazy, but William refused to let go of his dreams. With a small pile of once forgotten science textbooks, some scrap metal, tractor parts, and bicycle halves, and an armory of curiosity and determination, he embarked on a daring plan to forge an unlikely contraption and small miracle that would change the lives around him. The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind is a remarkably true story about how human inventiveness and its power to overcome crippling adversity. It will inspire anyone who doubts the power of one's individual ability to change his community and better the lives of those around him. So, this book is essentially this. William is the main character, and William is in Malawi, and Malawi goes through this big drought. And during this drought, they can't grow any crops, and because they're not growing any crops, they don't have any food, and this whole country is starting to experience some famine, and they don't have anything to sell. So William has to get pulled from the school that he goes to, but he's really just like curious, and he loves learning about things, and he finds a book in a library about electricity, and from there he just learns how to make electricity happen. So it is a country, and it is a environment that he lives in that they don't have electricity, and he's like, well, I know we don't have crops right now, we're going through this drought, so why don't I find a way to make electricity? If we have electricity, we can have irrigation, and then we can water our crops. And so it's all just about this person just going through and reading books and just like finding electricity. And I think that my favorite thing about the book is seeing how awesome human beings can be when they're put in a struggling situation, and how he doesn't have electricity. He's like, well, let me just read about it. I can't imagine just reading a book and being like, well, now I completely understand electricity, and now I'm going to just make electricity happen. So the quote that I'm going to read is from page 203, and this is like one of the big parts of the book where he says, just then a gust of wind slammed against my body, and the blades kicked up like mad. The tower rocked once, knocking me off balance. I wrapped my elbow around the wooden rung as the blades spun like furious propellers behind my head. I held the bulb before me, waiting for my miracle. It flickered once, just a flash at first, then a surge of bright, magnificent light. My heart nearly burst. Look, someone said, he's made light. And I think that's such a great moment of the book for me, because if I want light, I just walk into a room and I flip on a switch, or I turn on my bike light. And when he goes through all of these really struggles, I mean, the country goes through this drought, and people are dying on the side of the streets, and it's a really intense time for his family. And he's like, well, I'm going to save my community. And then the book just follows him as he just keeps improving his community, and it is absolutely one of the most inspiring things. It's one of the things where I wish I'd have to watch the movie, but if the movie was appropriate, I'd like to show to students to be like, hey, you guys don't want to write 2 sentences for your Cornell notes today. This dude did not have electricity and was like, well, let me get a bike wheel and make a windmill out of it, and I'm going to provide electricity for my entire community. So I love The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. It was one of the coolest books I've ever read.
Is it based on a true story?
It is, yeah. It's entirely true story. William Kamkwamba is the person. He does TED Talks now, and he goes all around the world, and he goes to other communities and helps build windmills for them. So he is that dude. I would very much like to meet this person. So yeah, it's really awesome.
So you said how he read books just to learn to make electricity. Was it did it take him a couple months, or did he have that character trait where he automatically knows everything?
In the books, he's reading parts, and then there's one part where he's talking to a friend and they're messing with something, and then he says, that was the day that I learned about AC current and DC current, but I didn't realize that until way later in life. So he slowly gets there. It's not just he reads a book and all of a sudden he's Tesla and Edison. But it's still just a level of, I have to fix my car over winter break or spring break, and I have to read a book to be able to change my serpentine belt and my water pump, and I'm dreading it, and I know that I'm just gonna mess my car up.
Wiki how?
But that's what I'm saying. I'm going to read that, and I'm going to watch YouTube videos, and I am a smart person with a master's degree, and I'm pretty smart in quotation marks. I feel like I'm decently intelligent, and I think I'm going to just absolutely mess this whole thing up. And for a teenager to just read a couple books that they checked out on their own because they didn't have the money to go to school anymore, is crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, changing your car, that sounds difficult. I've only ever changed a tire once because reasons. My dad didn't change his tire.
Okay, what is story. If you were in an environment where you didn't have electricity, what do you think your best skill would be?
Running.
You'd be like, hey Silas, you need to go run and get this for us.
No, it's just Or I guess I would just get out of Dodge, you know.
Oh, you just get out of the environment?
I mean, like, I guess in that situation I wouldn't, but I mean, like, I would just avoid the problems. Let this William take care of the situations, because I don't know if I would have the mental capacity for that kind of, know-how.
Yeah. LilyAnne, no electricity. What is your biggest skill?
Probably still instruments.
Instruments?
Probably.
Okay.
Entertain your people.
Oh.
Right, because you can play your ukulele, guitar, acoustic, and all that stuff. And
My thing is just trying to figure out how to play that. Like, I'd just start playing what sounds good and then be like, find out 5 years later that I've been doing it wrong long enough.
Right.
Like, well, too late to change that.
Right.
Drops her album.
Chyanne,
Community.
no electricity. What's the biggest skill that you bring to the table?
I could read. I could read a lot.
Oh,
you
yeah.
need anything to be read, I got it. You need, I don't know. You need anything like read for like any reason, or if I need to learn about a whale for some reason, or like a fish, or like an herb to see if it's healthy. I got it.
Whales.
So
Okay,
whale.
yeah, so you're going through, you're reading, you can be the taste tester for all
Yeah.
the like poisonous berries. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this one.
This one looks like this in the book. I mean, you probably shouldn't eat it, but I'm not stopping
Hey
you.
guys, you want
Katniss
to?
who?
I can
Wow.
read books for you if you want. You know all those whales,
Push up your
fish,
glasses.
berries. You know what I'm talking about. No.
All right, so The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. I have yet to watch the Netflix version of this, but I would highly recommend reading this book. And then I would also, if you feel like being inspired, watch some of the William Kamkwamba TED Talks, because they're really impressive and awesome.
I want to watch a TED Talk now.
My comic / Netflix show is The Umbrella Academy, written by Gerard Way, the one and only. This is a tongue twister here. In an inexplicable worldwide event, 43 extraordinary children were spontaneously born to a woman who'd previously shown no signs of pregnancy. Millionaire inventor Reginald Hargreaves adopted 7 of the children. When asked why, his only explanation was to save the world. These 7 children form the Umbrella Academy, a dysfunctional family of superheroes with bizarre powers. Their first adventure at the age of 10 pits them against an erratic and deadly Eiffel Tower, piloted by the fearsome zombie robot Gustav Eiffel. Nearly a decade later, the team disbands, but when Hargreaves unexpectedly dies, these disgruntled siblings reunite just in time to try to save the world from impending doom.
Uh-oh.
Interesting.
People who would like this book, I think, are people who are fans of comics, especially Dark Horse Comics, since they're the one who produced it. People who are fans of My Chemical Romance, because these were written by the singer.
Wait,
And
what?
I know, it's crazy, right? Gerard Way.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's written by... Yeah, he writes comics.
Does he draw them too?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Well, that just really blew my mind a little bit. I didn't know that. I didn't
You
realize
didn't?
that he was the.
I own one of his comics if you want to read it. Not the Umbrella Academy, but it's a different one of his works.
Okay, so you're doing the Umbrella Academy, and so he wrote these comics.
He wrote these comics with another dude. I think his name is Gerald Baugh, but
Okay.
he helped figure out, like, he helped with the storyline. He didn't write it. It's himself.
Okay. Awesome. And then, so in the comics, does it go through like when they're 10 years old, or does it start kind of like the series does where it's like they're 20?
Yeah. It starts when Hargreaves starts to hunt down these children when he finds out about them. It starts when these women give birth, and
Okay.
it starts with him going to try to hunt them down, like try to adopt as many as he can, which out of those 43, he was only able to adopt, and yes, he might have bought some of them, 7.
Okay. And then, so
43.
I take it that you are a big fan of the Netflix.
Oh my god, you have no idea. I rewatched it like 5 times.
Already?
Yes, I have it.
just
It
saw
came
the
out.
preview,
It
like,
came out
a couple days back.
It came out 2 weeks ago,
Well,
and I have
Well,
a
I
lot
guess
of
I
time.
better start watching it.
So, okay.
So what can you tell us about it that's not spoilery?
what's cool about this book and the show is that it follows so many storylines. Like there's one storyline of a girl trying to get back to her daughter before she thinks the world is gonna end, and then there's another storyline of where somebody's getting mixed up with like this time travel agency, which is called the Commission, and then there's the assassins who are trying to kill somebody who's trying to prevent the apocalypse, and oh my god, you have to stay quick with it. Like, I can go on forever about this.
So it's like an upbeat, multi-story, different perspective.
Not upbeat. I've cried so many times. There's a dude who's in love with a mannequin.
Wow.
Wow.
He is, and oh my god, they spent like decades together. I'm gonna
So
start
you have
crying.
not watched it yet,
No, I have not.
and you have not watched it yet.
I've only seen the trailer.
I haven't even seen the trailer.
Yeah.
I got into. I'm on episode 4, and I forgot who it was. Man, was it you? No, it was somebody yesterday in class.
Might have been Clea.
Started just yelling about what happened, and I was like, "Yo, I'm on episode 4."
No, not Clay. I don't think it was Clay.
I forgot who it was, but they started just yelling about what happened, and I was
Raina?
like, "I'm on episode 4," and they were like, "Well, you should have watched it already." I was like, "It's been out for like 25 minutes. Like, how am I supposed to watch this whole thing yet?" So you've seen it, and you're in, and then the comics.
The comics are phenomenal too, but if you read the comics, you're gonna have to like stomach gore because the comics are gory. Like
Oh, really?
even like think about the Bird Box.
Okay, I can get
Multiply it by like 50.
Oh.
Oh, uh-oh.
Yeah, it's
The Bird
really
Box?
gory because like the whole
that movie
premises
was
is a family trying to stop the apocalypse, and there are all these assassins trying to stop him from stopping the apocalypse because like time has to keep going as it is. Like, and then there's a second comic series where it goes on deeper into that in depth, trying to stop people who can alter time and stuff like
Okay.
that. It's
So, question for you is the one storyline, is that like multiple comics to get that one storyline, or is that one storyline just all in one comic?
the whole first season, the main storyline, it mainly centers around the first comic.
Okay,
And
so that's the one comic?
Mhm.
Okay.
The second comic doesn't really tie in though with what I'm assuming is going to happen in the second season.
Okay.
because-
That makes sense. All right, so I was just wondering if each episode was like its own little comic book, or okay.
So, about the gore level, have you ever watched the movie The Thing?
I don't
The
watch
Belko
much.
Experiment?
I don't watch many horror movies.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to get an idea of how graphic you're talking. Just
Are we
like,
talking like
here.
innards?
is it
I'm
safe?
talking like many innards,
Oh, well.
but it's all cartoon. So
Yeah,
I mean-
I can handle cartoon gore. It's just
it's like
I don't know about that.
This kind of stuff I don't know if I could deal with.
yeah, the comics are pretty gory. I remember
Looks
I got
into
the
a
first
book.
one from the library, and my mom looked through it, and she's like, "Don't show your sisters any part of this book." And I'm like,
Fair enough.
it's pretty cool though. And I know you already know this, but one of the assassins in the show is played by Mary J. Blige, and
dang.
If I can't be without you, babe.
it can't be without her.
No more drama in my life.
Mm-mm.
Mary J. Blige came out when I was in like 3rd or 4th
Me
grade.
and my mom listened to her
I
on
don't
the
know
way to
anything
the eye
they're
doctor
talking
today,
about.
and we sang along.
Just
All right,
nod
so you
like
highly
know.
recommend the novel,
Highly.
the graphic novel, and the television show.
Highly,
And you also highly recommend My Chemical Romance
yes.
and Mary J. Blige.
And Mary J. Blige. And it also has Ellen Page in it, who I love with all my heart.
And you stand for Ellen Page.
I stan Ellen Page and Mary J. Blige. And the guy who plays Clarence. Okay. We need to stop with this.
All right.
Everywhere.
If
So-
you want to know more about this, ask Kalea.
Okay.
Oh, that is very true.
It's
pull her off
me
set.
and her. I called her at like 11 o'clock at night last night because I just finished rewatching it again, and I'm like, okay, here's what should have happened, and here's whose fault it was, and we argued for 20 minutes.
You should make like a book group, just like go over, just share theories about what's gonna happen in the next thing. Just like, oh my gosh, this one character is like the most infuriating. Or, like, this person should end up there with that person or something.
Are you all like Reddit people? Do you do the if you go and watch say a Marvel movie or a Star Wars or something like this, do you go on Reddit and see theories about what's going to happen or anything like that?
My little brother does, and he scours the internet for them, just try to get new perspectives on movies he likes. And I'm not that kind of person, but he vents enough so that I have an understanding of what he's talking about.
Okay.
And it's crazy what people think. Like, yeah. If you forgot my name's Silas, which you probably did. I am covering Lord of the Rings. It is a movie on Netflix, and it is a beefy book. Beefy movies, may I add, actually. 3 different movies, extended and theatrical cuts. It's like, yeah, it's marathon. It's marathon worthy. But I'm gonna read the back page. Marathon. In ancient time, the rings of power were crafted by the elven smiths, and Sauron, the Dark Lord, forged the One Ring, filling it with his own power so that he could rule all others. But the One Ring was taken from him. Though he sought it throughout Middle-earth, it remained lost to him. After many ages, it fell by chance into the hands of the hobbit Bilbo Baggins. From his fastness in the Dark Tower of Mordor, Sauron's power spread far and wide. He gathered all the great rings to him, but always he searched for the One Ring, who might complete his dominion. On Bilbo's 11th birthday, he disappeared, bequeathing to his young cousin Frodo the ruling ring and a perilous quest to the journey across Middle-earth, deep into the shadow of the Dark Lord, to destroy the ring by casting it into the cracks of doom.
I have a question.
11th?
11st?
It's what the Shire people use for their age.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you
Okay,
In-
hobbits. You know hobbits, short people, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Chris.
It has a it has a lot of different slang. Not really slang. It's their language, really. They talk a bit different.
So in
that's how they keep track of their
English,
age.
what is 11st?
That's their 11st. That'd be his 101st birthday.
Oh, okay.
So 101. That's how old he's trying.
All right. Well, that
101.
just 11st, just
How does that add up to 101?
Wait, no.
That'd be 111.
111?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I was wondering what 11. Okay. 11
Okay.
first.
Thank
I was
you.
thinking you just
111.
misread a word.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I love this book because it just takes you from end to end, from all these different perspectives. At the beginning, you start out with this shy little hobbit named Frodo, and he's just lollygagging around on the green fields of the Shire, and then by the end of it, he's
No
in
spoilers.
Mordor. That's a spoiler.
No, that's fine.
Nope. Well, he just crosses, it just perspective from light to dark, from his home to the ends of the earth, really. And it's just like, it's a really big adventure.
Like Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo. Lord.
Okay.
You mean the reverse Lord of the Rings?
Finding
Nemo.
They
Exactly.
didn't even go on. They did go on land, but they never got out of water. Okay.
They did get out of the water.
Yeah.
No, they went out of the water at one
Okay.
point.
Well, yeah, but for seconds
No.
before they suffocate. Okay, I'm just gonna stop you there.
Okay.
But my favorite quote.
My favorite
in this book. To give you a little context, they're about to embark on this journey, but no one wants to take the ring. And Frodo says this: "I will take the ring," he said, "though I do not know the way." This is my favorite quote because he's such a innocent character. It's just heart-wrenching to see him go through this journey and just change in ways you wouldn't expect and you wouldn't want, but at the same time in ways you do want. It's just he's like the Good Samaritan, really. It's just like, he does things that other people won't, but he's not the most capable. He's like, yeah. So that's my favorite quote.
Okay, so, and that book is comprised of three other books, right? The Lord of the Rings is like one story.
It was meant to be one whole book, but they comprised it into 3 different sections.
Okay, and then so what are the 3 different sections? Fellowship of the
You
Ring?
got the Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King.
Okay. And how do those compare to the movie? So if I read the Fellowship of the Ring, and then I went on Netflix and I watched the movie, how does that compare?
I would say they both have their pros and cons. In the book, you know, you get a lot more into the character. You know, you can feel for them as people, and it's fun to, you know, have it described verbally to you. But in the movies, just the camera work and the score, the music is phenomenal, and I think it just really immerses you into that world. So, personally, if I wanted to get goosebumps, I would watch all the movies.
Okay. That's a good way to put it, if I wanted to get goosebumps.
Yeah.
Have you watched The Lord of the Rings or read the books at all?
No, I've been recommended to, but I've never done it.
Okay. What about you, LilyAnne? Have you...
My dad tried to make me read the first one, and then I started reading it, and then I got distracted with rereading Harry Potter.
About this book, it can go into some pretty dull parts. It's not necessarily dull, but nothing happens in the plot, you know? They're like exploring this one place, and Gerard Tolkien goes into these like paragraphs of describing this like one place or this one character, you know? And it's like, it can be a bit of a lull in the story, but if you just can read through that, it's an amazing book.
I think that's a really big difference. I read a couple older books this summer, and to read books like Lord of the Rings or books that were written 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago versus books that are written now, you have a lot more of like, let me take 3 pages to describe the sun as it rises over the mountains.
Yeah.
Where now
It's
in like
crisp orange hue,
right, in
rising against the green petals.
and now like YA books are like, the sun was rising, and then it goes into like all of the emotions that the person is feeling, and then the plot.
And I feel like that's one of the reasons that I like newer books, and a part of the reason that I haven't read Harry Potter, because like the beginning was really slow, and you're gonna get mad at me. A lot of people are gonna get mad at you.
Just continue talking.
But I just can't stand slow books, and or prequels.
Well, I'm sorry.
Or just like if I get to a certain part where it's slow, I'm a quitter at that point. I'm gonna say that is, if it like goes on about one thing, I kind of just like, can you get to the point?
Yeah.
And I don't want to skip the page, because then you're like missing out on whatever, and like that happens. But like, I feel bad about it, but like I can't stand it, because personally I'm a really like everywhere person.
Yeah.
And to be stuck on this one thing for a paragraph and multiple paragraphs, I'm just like, I can't stand it.
Yeah. No, I get you on that part, but isn't there also like a pro to it? I mean, like, you get to immerse yourself in the really of this world that they're describing. I mean, like, you know, you get to know what the landscape is, what the people look like, down to like every feature they have. You know, it's like it gives you almost more visuals than the movie would. You know, like more ideas in your head.
Yeah.
I read a book once. I forgot. It was a Tom Robbins novel, and he spends an entire chapter describing the pink of the sunset. And it's like 4 pages of like, it was this color pink, it was this color pink, it was as pink as this blowing bubble gum, it was pink as a conch shell. It was like, it was describing the pink of the conch shell. That was, a conch shell was like one of the characters in the book. It was skinny legs and all. It was a weird book, but
right here.
But yeah, so, and he did that whole thing, and there was a part of me that was like, this is, as someone who likes to write, this is really awesome and interesting. I like seeing all this descriptive ways, but I could definitely see somebody being like, dude, can't you just say that the thing is pink, and then can we just move on to what's happening next? Lord of the Rings, that can get a little biblical in a sense of like, here's so-and-so, son of so-and-so, son of so-and-so, son of so-and-so, meeting so-and-so, who's son of so-and-so, and this person.
Well, I mean, like, in that way, kinda, but not as much. Not in that kind of descriptive way. I mean, like, you know, you get to learn Gimli's father or something, like Dane or Loin or whatever, you know. It's not, like, too detailed in that part, but it gets, there's parts when it could be a little,
What's your favorite sub-book of the Lord of the Rings story?
Sub-book?
It's like Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the
I gotta
King.
break this down. Okay. I feel that the most interesting part of the book that really intrigued you would probably be the Two Towers. Just the book and the movies are broken up into two different perspectives. Well, three different perspectives. You got Sam and Frodo. You got Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas, and then you have Gandalf and Merry and Pippin, the other two hobbits. So yeah, it is it's cool to see their perspectives go out through, because all of them. There's there's like this one part in the book, in a Minas Morgul, and the Witch King. Sorry, I sound really nerdy right now. But the Witch King is conjuring the spell, and it's just like this huge spire of green light just erupts from the castle, and like all the characters from all perspectives, just see it, and like they're taken aback by it. It's kind of cool to see how like major effects can like affect throughout the whole entire land.
Yeah.
It's like gives you a scale of how big things are. But definitely the Two Towers, just for its and the movie too, because the Two Towers was probably like the best cinematography I've ever seen in a movie. So
Is the book changing perspectives? Or does it
changes,
stay on like?
It changes like every chapter or two chapters. It goes from like Sam, Frodo, Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas.
But does it stay on like those two characters, or does it go from like this character and then to like this one and then back to that one, but then to this other one, but then back to this one?
That's one of the things that kind of annoys me in other books.
Yeah.
But this book, this book,
Yeah.
I can't quite recall. You are in Frodo's perspective when you're with Sam, and you are. It's hard to explain because it's such a long book, and I can't cover everything.
Right.
There is at least a dozen different perspectives throughout the whole 1,009 pages of this.
Yippee.
Sounds like you're reading a book.
No, it doesn't.
No.
I'm reading a book that's like that. The Fifth Wave, and it's starting.
God, you were obsessed with that in 6th grade.
No.
You were
No,
obsessed
not
with
with that one. You're wrong one. But it's starting out with this one, and then it's going into this one, and then like the short version of this character's, but then back to this character's, but then to the little brother's perspective,
Yeah.
to like the dad's. And it's like, why are we coming up with this?
Yeah, I kind of found that was the same thing with Heroes of Olympus. Not to diss on them or anything, but for their length and their amount of characters and perspective, it was a tad bit annoying. But other than that, I think that was also a good book. You should totally check that out.
And so you Lord of the Rings, have you done like Hobbit, Silmarillion, all of that stuff?
I have read The Hobbit before this.
Okay.
But that is about it. So that's all of my knowledge of Tolkien.
Did you see that Amazon is doing a Lord of the Rings show, and they just released a map
What?
of...
I'm not entirely sure about that, but I'm not entirely sure what the subject matter is, but if they make it about the Númenóreans and the three brothers fighting over their land, you're not going to see me for 3 months, because I'm going to be watching that all day, every day.
Right, and from what I read about that,
Yeah.
because they posted the island,
Yeah.
and me, being someone who loves the Lord of the Rings movies and loves the story, but has not read all like the backstory and stuff,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool, an island, and people on the internet were like, this is young Sauron, this is incredible, and like just losing their minds, which made me vicariously
You know
lose
the
my mind.
actor for Obi-Wan Kenobi in the prequels
Yes.
of Star Wars? He's playing young Gandalf.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Ian
McGregor?
That just sold. Yeah, Ian McGregor. He's playing Gandalf, and that sold me up. Even if it's gonna be like a crap show, I'm just gonna watch it. It's
Right.
Ian McGregor.
Isn't the dude who plays Bilbo Baggins Martin Freeman?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
That's
Yeah.
such a great character for him, because I can just imagine being completely done with everything. And then What about dragon? Isn't that played by Benedict Cumberbatch?
Smaug?
Smaug.
In The Hobbit, yeah.
Smack.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
So you're. If I've never read, I gotta be honest. I've read The Hobbit. I haven't read any of the Lord of the Rings books.
Yeah.
That's something I need to do this summer. Is just read the story.
I have to read a lot of books this summer. I'm not sure I'm gonna get to it.
It's okay. You have many summers.
Yeah.
But more books come out.
Many summers, more books. You know, one leads to the other, but yeah. I mean, like, this was probably the second longest series to read. This took me at least 3 to 4 months.
How many pages are in, like, that book?
1009.
1009?
If you don't count the appendix. Which is at least another 100 to 200 pages.
Okay.
I asked him earlier if he read the appendix, and he's
read
like,
that.
no, I mean, yes.
Yeah. I mean, like, but the real question is, Sam or Frodo, MVP? I mean, like, not to go into too many spoilers, but I think Frodo, he didn't show it in the movies or the books as much. Well, more in the books, but he didn't show what battle he was fighting mentally. But Sam, you know, without Sam, Frodo would be dead long before he got even close to Mordor.
So saying Frodo is Michael Jordan and Sam is Scottie Pippen. Then you have to.
Yeah.
I don't understand either of
Yeah,
those
I guess you
references.
kind of. As soon as I said it, I was like, maybe this is wrong crowd for this one.
Maybe
Yeah.
a broader brush. Yeah, not all of us know that, but yeah, that's a good analogy. That's a good analogy. Yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of people are dissing on Frodo, but I think they're both equals, just on their own playing fields.
I think one thing that you brought up is kind of the thing that I don't like about when books are turned into movies, and you said that you don't get to see the mental battle that Frodo goes through, and that's something that's so important in all of the books.
Yes.
When you come from the first person perspective, where it says like Frodo was thinking this, or if you're first person perspective, that's third, but first is you're like I was thinking this, and then I felt this. You get to really see like the mental battle that the characters go through, where if it's just a movie, it's like the person's just walking and you can't understand anything that's going on in their head.
Yeah, so that's why I feel like a lot of books are better than the movies, because if that's in that perspective, in that moment, you know what they're thinking if you've read the book, then you're watching the movie. And it's great because you know what's happening, but then anyone else doesn't know what's happening, and then you're like, I know.
Yeah, right. You're like that one part where she's freaking out. Like, I don't remember that. I was like, oh, it's actually here, because in the book she says
the, like, lines of dialogue we went through. Oh yeah, she's feeling that she was doubtful that she left Sam behind, or something like that. I don't know. It's like, why would I leave? No, but yeah, in the movies, I mean, like, the acting from all of the cast, I feel like they did their best to convey it, but I feel like no, I don't think it could have done better. I just think the book is better.
Yeah.
For different people. I mean, like, storybook, action movies, you know. And I just feel like they're just both great for different reasons. Yeah. So that ends my rant right there.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So I think that's a perfect way to segue of you should read all these books that we suggested before
And
you
should
binge them
also
on
these movies.
Netflix. So, Chyanne, what was your book again?
No, To All the Boys I've Loved Before.
Mine was The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind.
Mine was The Umbrella Academy by Gerard Way.
Lord of the Rings.
Awesome.
All three.
Thanks to everybody for listening, and we are going to be back. The next episode, I believe, is a deep dive with Mrs. Ackerman and
Oh, we're doing that one?
Perks of Being a Wallflower.
3 in a row that I've been in.
Well, you're doing really well at it. So.
Wow.
So Miss Ackerman and Chyanne will be here with some others for Perks of
With
Being
Miss
a Wallflower.
Vernon. Oh, no, Miss Friedman.
Yeah, Miss Friedman.
Miss Friedman, and I believe it was
Gigi, I
Gigi because, yeah.
So we're gonna do that, and then we'll come back, and we might have maybe we'll have to bring Silas on. We'll do some character conversations, and we can argue over Percy Jackson stuff.
I could.
Get
Characters
Chyanne
are
on there
my
with Percy
go-tos. I
Jackson.
could literally
I think,
talk
yeah.
for 3 hours.
Okay.
We can make this a live stream or something, just like.
Just a live stream about Silas talking about the
And
Lord of the Rings.
Percy just infuriates me
Maybe
for these
maybe
reasons.
maybe you and me and Chyanne and Nora will do a character conversation about Percy Jackson stuff real soon.
That
So
sounds fun.
Wow.
thank you. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Donka.
Peace out.
Anywhere you go, anywhere you look, you can find me on the low with my nose in a book. Turning through the pages, reading through the script. About to hit a million words, yeah, it's lit, 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 lit. Said it's lit, 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 lit. Yeah, it's lit, 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 lit.